Hello, this is Gary Peterson, and this is Reviews in the Dark, where I relish reviewing recordings in the occasional movie. The album I'm going to review tonight is called Something Else by the Kinks. It was released in September of 1967 during the age of hard rock such as Cream, Jimi Hendrix, and roots rock such as Creedence Clearwater Revival and the band, and established bands such as the Beatles and Rolling Stones, putting down the overdubs and the harpsichords and the experimentations and just getting back to drums, bass, vocals, guitars. Had this album been released a year before, it would have been a hot seller and it would have done better than it did. But since they released it slightly out of step with the times, it sank without a trace because it didn't rock. It didn't rock at all. So, and it was also very British, antiquatedly so. So Americans did not understand what the band was singing about, and Brits just they didn't much care. Introspection wasn't exactly in vogue. The album occasionally got a little more upbeat, such as on the first track, David Watts, which is just a nice little moderate barroom boogie led by a boogie woogie piano and some stomping four to floor drums. The lyrics are very British. They are essentially about somebody. Uh, let's be frank about this. The narrator is lusting about a male rugby player. So it's a homosexual thing. It's pretty controversial for its time, and I think while it would be more widely accepted now, I can still see some people understanding it and going, "Wow, that's crazy." I think it was a moderate hit at the time, but now it is one of the Kinks' most beloved songs. The second track is "Death of a Clown," which was actually a solo track. Put that in quotes by the guitarist Dave Davies, but it's really just him singing lead and the rest of the band backing him up. It's another. It's a little less English lyric wise. It's just about a clown that has long been since past his prime and is essentially just depressed and miserable. And it introduces lead singer Ray Davies' wife, Rasa, on backing vocals, gorgeous backing vocals, where they just put her in a nice echo chamber and she sings beautifully. It adds a nice ethereal touch to it, and this is where the studio production and the Baroque feel starts to come in with just a very spacey, loud, large sound to it. Just sounds like it was recorded very meticulously. Not a whole lot of overdubs, pretty much just like a four-piece band, but the angelic vocals just add something to it where I believe most people who were perhaps drawn in by David Watts were like, this isn't quite what I paid my $9.99 or $6 for. And this continues on the third track, which is Two Sisters, which is a veiled reference to Ray Davies and his brother, with Ray being the sister who stays at home, taking care of the kids and doing the laundry, and Dave being the swinging single sister who parties, much to the envy of the first sister, who hates being at home until she sees her kids, and then she's like, "Yeah, my sister is missing out." And this is just another. It continues the Baroque produced theme with harpsichord leading the proceedings, and just just very stately, just very regal, very royale sounding atmosphere to it. Again, very British, just not of the times at all. But again, just still gorgeous. And then the next track is called No Return. And this is just another very mellow track with just Ray and Dave plucking out a bossa nova rhythm. Just again, it's got that lazy Sunday atmosphere, just very mellow. I suppose many people would consider it elevator music, but again, I can appreciate it. It's a nice track to chill out to, and kind of like no return from reality. Again, just very very pretty. And then the next track is actually about cigarettes. It is called it's called Harry Rag, and it's got a very militaristic marching feel to it, with militaristic marching drums leading the proceedings, and just strummy rhythm, and just very barked out, ordered vocals from Ray about a lowly person, lower class, miserable British person whose only pleasure in life is her cigarettes. Again, just very avant-gardely produced, I suppose you could say, with the strident stop-start guitars, the aggressive vocals, and the militaristic drums. It's a very unique track that, again, not hugely relatable, especially because unless you really listened to it and thought about it, you wouldn't really know what a hairy rag is. Slang for a cigarette. And then we move on to Tin Soldier Man, which is a much kind of jauntier, less straight militaristic, and just kind of a. It's got a little more hop in the step of it, and I would say the tempo bumps up a little bit, but underneath the cheery smiles is Ray Davies kind of condemning someone who just like gets into line and does as they're told. Hence the title Tin Soldier Man. Perhaps it was a anti-war commentary, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Most likely it was. Those things were very popular. And next we have and next we have next we have another deceptively jaunty track called Situation Vacant. Light bouncy happy piano, electric guitar drums, disguise depressing lyrics about somebody who is in an unhappy marriage. Again, I do believe this is autobiographical for Ray Davies, essentially singing about how he's just a massive tool and his life is empty, but it's just this happy skip down the lane music burnt up the charts. It really did. And now we have a reappearance from Dave Davies' solo record that never came to be. Love Me Till the Sun Shines, which essentially is just one of those a little more upbeat. It's got the chugging guitar rhythm, a little faster than David Watts, but returning more to that vein musically. But lyrics are a bit sad again, where it's just essentially the guy just wants the girl to essentially do nothing but love him and just stay with him and essentially just comfort him. That's all. Love me till the sunshine. There's a code in that which isn't just like, oh, stay in this relationship with me. It's kind of just like, comfort me. Do nothing else but that. So again, it's kind of morose stuff, but you definitely wouldn't think so on first glance. This one wasn't a hit. This was definitely a bump. Not as popular as Death of a Clown, but kind of sadder, really. And then we have just a very draggy, dreamy track called Lazy Old Sun. And the music track invokes that. It's simply just about lazing around in the sun and the kind of swirly, drowsy picked guitars and echo chambered vocals just very much it feels like you're laying in the sun. Again, just something very much to space out to. So you'd think it would be popular around 1967, but no, still wasn't. And now we have a song that kind of ramps up a little bit back into a little step below David Watts territory, but still cheerful. And it's just about, again, very British, unrelatable to Americans, drinking afternoon tea together. And the protagonist just wants his girlfriend to drink a bunch of afternoon tea with him. Very sweet, very sweet. But again, just very, 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 very British. And second to last, we have End of the Season with bird sound effects and just another very produced record about winter coming and the season ending, fall turning into winter, and everything just starting to become chiller and quieter and shutting down. It makes sense. The end of the album, almost the end of the album, and essentially Ray is just singing about that. Maybe a metaphor for the end of life too, or the twilight years of life. Who knows? But last but certainly not least, we have Waterloo Sunset, a gorgeously produced, cavernous sound for the backing track, framing a song, or framing lyrics that invoke two lovers walking along a bridge overlooking a sunset, and knowing that it's going to be their last time together, but their love continues on forever. And this moment is one they remember forever. Again, I believe it was released as a single, didn't exactly chart, but now it is considered Ray Davies' most gorgeous, the best thing he ever wrote. And it makes sense. The lyrics are evocative. It's romantic, it's bombastic, it's epic, it's gorgeous. The vocals from the backing vocals from Raza show up again and they accentuate his Ray's longing vocals and wistful vocals, etc. It's gorgeous. It's a great ending to a great album. And so, in conclusion, you should check this out. I really wish I could show clips of the song, but YouTube can be sketchy on that. But I really, really, really do encourage you to go check out something else by the Kinks. It's on YouTube. God knows for how long, though. I do believe it's on Spotify and iTunes. But if you don't want to plunk down the probably $10 for it without listening to it first, I could get that. But anyways, thanks for listening. This is Garvey Pearson, and I will see you guys next week. If you guys like this, I would appreciate it if you guys hopped over to my Patreon and gave a couple bucks. So yeah, I'd really appreciate that. All right, guys. See you next week.